My name is Lily, and I'm on a journey to have my thoughts flow effortlessly in English. I believe each new day and every passing moment offers an opportunity to practice. So, as I wake up, I make a conscious decision that today, my mind will operate in English. The morning begins, I open my eyes, and the gentle light of a new day greets me. I stretch, a smile touches my lips, and I whisper to myself, I am awake. I will think in English. My heart fills with hope, knowing that becoming fluent starts with tiny steps. I don't let the fear of mistakes or pauses hold me back, understanding that every error is a valuable lesson. I choose to be brave, to keep things simple, and to be honest with my inner thoughts. I remember when I first attempted to think in English. I sat at my small wooden desk and wrote simple sentences. I wake up. I wash my face. I eat toast. My sentences were brief and clear. I realized that my mind needed to learn to access English words directly, without waiting for my native language to form the thought and then translate. I needed to allow English to live within me. I started with the basics, using the 5 simple questions. Who, what, when, where, and why. I apply these questions to every part of my day. I see a young boy riding his bicycle, and I think, who is he? I answer myself. He is the boy from next door. I ask, what is he doing? The answer comes, he is riding his bicycle. When does he ride? He rides in the afternoon. Where does he ride? He rides on the sidewalk in front of his house. Why does he ride? He rides because it is fun. Using these basic questions helps me construct my narrative, and my thoughts become clearer. I speak to myself in short, simple words, feeling a sense of accomplishment with my progress. I walk into the kitchen and see a glass bowl filled with colorful fruits on the counter. I think, what is in the bowl? I observe oranges, strawberries, and blueberries. I say to myself, the bowl contains fruit. A smile spreads across my face as I think, I like fruit. It is sweet and juicy. I consider the colors of each fruit. The bright orange of an orange, the deep red of a strawberry, the rich blue of a blueberry. Each fruit is a treat, I think, feeling grateful to my parents for this healthy snack. I understand that every small action is an opportunity to engage my mind in English. After my light breakfast, I leave my apartment to catch the train. I observe the people on the street. I see an elderly woman sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper. I see a young man talking animatedly on his phone. I see a group of teenagers laughing together. I think, who are they? I realize that each person has their own unique story. I think in English about their lives, imagining their joys and challenges. People live and they connect, I think to myself. I take a deep breath, feeling the gentle breeze on my face, and I sense the simplicity of life. I remind myself, I am thinking in English. In my mind, I speak with clear, concise words. I walk. I ride the train. I see new people. I've learned that every step is a chance to practice English. I feel the words coming to me more naturally now. I work at a small bookstore. I interact with many customers and fellow book lovers. I use the 5 WH questions to describe my work. I think, who am I with? I am with my colleagues and customers. I ask, what do we do? We share stories and sell books. I ask, when do we work? We work during the day and sometimes in the evening. I ask, where do we work? We work in a cozy bookstore downtown. I ask, why do we work? We work to connect people with the magic of books. I feel the power of my words growing. I choose each word thoughtfully. I listen to the conversations around me, picking up new vocabulary. I listen, I learn, I grow. I think. My mind is becoming more and more comfortable with English. I jot down notes in my small notebook. Books are adventures. Books are knowledge. Books are friends. I know that these simple phrases build my understanding of the world. During my lunch break, I sit with a friend, Carlos, in the small break area. I ask, how are you doing today? I hear his friendly voice respond. I am good, I am happy, Carlos replied, his voice warm. We continued our easy chat. I like the weather. It's sunny and warm, I said, appreciating the bright day. Carlos nodded in agreement. Yes, the sun makes me smile. We talked about our plans for the day and I shared, I think in English now. It's not as hard as it used to be. Carlos smiled encouragingly. Keep it up, Lily. Practice makes perfect. I felt the pleasant connection in our simple words, knowing that each conversation strengthened my mental English. I felt the words creating a link from my inner thoughts to the wider world. In the afternoon, I returned to my work at the bookstore. I had a brief meeting with my colleagues. Standing in front of them, I spoke slowly and clearly. I help customers find books, I organize shelves, and I work with a wonderful team. I used simple sentences, choosing my words carefully. We will discuss the new book display at 2 p.m. We'll meet in the back room near the new arrivals. We need to decide which books to feature and how to arrange them. I saw nods and understanding smiles from my team. I felt a surge of confidence, knowing that my brain was effectively communicating in English. I used phrases like, at around 2 p.m., to show I was being thoughtful in my speech. I told myself, details matter, every word counts. Speaking in short, clear sentences made my mind feel unburdened, and my thoughts flowed more freely. I think in English, I speak in English, I affirmed silently, feeling that my goal was within reach. After work, I took the train home. The sky was painted with hues of orange as the sun began to set. The trees outside the window swayed gently in the breeze. The day is ending, I thought to myself. I worked hard, and I made progress. I thought of my family, our evening routine, and how far I had come. I remembered the simple desire that started this journey, to let English become my natural way of expressing myself. I have learned to think in English, I have learned to live in English, I mused, a quiet joy blossoming in my heart. I felt the satisfaction of growth, each day adding a new layer to my understanding. At home, I spent quality time with my family during dinner. We sat around the table, and I spoke in simple terms. I had a good day. I worked at the bookstore and learned some new things. I shared a little about the books I had helped customers find. My family listened attentively, smiling and asking, "What did you do today?" I replied, "I helped people find interesting stories and talked with my colleagues in English." I felt the warmth of their support, knowing that my voice mattered to them. Thinking in English every day makes me feel stronger, I said. I saw my younger sibling looking at me with admiration, and I realized I was setting an example. I knew that my family was also learning from my dedication. After dinner, I enjoyed some quiet time with my diary. I wrote in simple English. Today I woke up thinking in English. Today I spoke in English at work. Today I even had a dream in English. I wrote slowly and clearly, one short sentence after another. I love English. I love seeing my progress. I watched as my words filled the page, feeling my mind expanding with each entry. Every word felt like a step closer to my dream. I will practice tomorrow. I will be brave. I will speak and think in English, I wrote with determination. A feeling of contentment washed over me as I closed my diary and smiled, knowing my brain was learning and adapting every day. Before falling asleep, I set a mental timer for 5 minutes to describe my surroundings in English. I looked at the ceiling, noticing the soft glow of the night light. I listened to the gentle hum of the quiet night. I see the stars in my imagination. I feel calm, I thought in English. This is my time, my chance to grow. I let my thoughts drift. The night is peaceful. The moon is shining somewhere. I am at peace. I felt my body relax as English words flowed through my mind. I knew this nightly practice was making my brain stronger. I drifted off to sleep with a clear mind, my dreams filled with English conversations and stories. I remembered a time when my confidence wasn't so strong. I was a young exchange student in a new country, staying with a kind family. In the mornings, I would wake up with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Sitting at the breakfast table with my host family, my heart would race. My mind was still dominated by my native language. When they asked me questions, I often found myself trying to translate in my head or even answering in my own language out of habit. I felt embarrassed and wished I could have spoken English fluently from the beginning. Those early days were challenging. I felt slow and struggled to express myself. But as each day passed, filled with constant listening and attempts to speak, something began to shift. By the evenings, after a full day of immersion, I started to think in English. And eventually, I even began to dream in English. The next morning, a profound shift had occurred within me. It was as if a mental barrier had dissolved. I was no longer caught in the act of constant translation. A sense of freedom washed over me. This was a pivotal moment. I knew then that I could truly allow English to permeate my thoughts. I made a conscious decision to immerse myself fully, resolving that all my enjoyable activities and daily tasks would henceforth be conducted in English. I immediately changed the language settings on my phone. I started reading English books, watching English movies, and listening to English music. Every opportunity became a chance to weave English into the fabric of my life. I came to understand that immersion and consistency were paramount, and that even the smallest actions held significance. I recall the simple rules I established for myself. Firstly, I made it a point to visit English-speaking countries whenever possible. This helped me break the ingrained habit of translating in my head. I stayed with local people and made an effort to converse with them daily. I observed that the more I listened, the quicker my comprehension grew. I likened my mind to a sponge, readily absorbing every new word and phrase. I practiced by watching short online videos and listening to brief podcasts, often no longer than 6 minutes. I would pause the video and jot down any English words that came to mind, resisting the urge to think in my native language. I looked up the meanings of these words in English dictionaries, establishing a direct connection between the word and the concept in English. I realized that each new word learned was like adding another brick to the wall of my fluency. Secondly, I actively filled my environment with English. I bought English books and magazines. I changed the language settings on all my electronic devices, including my phone and computer. I started engaging with social media in English, followed English news outlets, and listened to English music, even taking the time to learn the lyrics. I even began writing my grocery lists in English, constantly reminding myself, every word counts. I noticed that by consuming information in English, my mind naturally started to process thoughts in English. I discovered that enjoyable activities like watching a movie or playing a game became even more beneficial when experienced in English. Even a simple game could become a learning opportunity if I paid close attention to the words being used. Thirdly, I made a firm rule to learn new concepts directly in English. Instead of trying to translate ideas from my native language, when I encountered a new topic like photography or cooking, I would look up the relevant vocabulary in English. I would ask myself, what does this word mean in English? I relied on dictionaries that provided definitions exclusively in English. I memorized phrases by associating them with images and actions. I found that my mind felt unconstrained when I learned directly in English, and each new concept seemed to make my brain a little more fluent, building a direct bridge between the idea and the language without the cumbersome process of translation. Fourthly, I committed to daily practice. I set aside specific time for English every day, but I didn't wait for long study sessions. I practiced in small increments, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I practiced while commuting on the bus, while waiting in line, and even while taking a walk. I made a habit of describing the world around me in simple English sentences. I see a tall tree, I hear a bird singing, I feel the cool breeze on my skin. I allowed these simple sentences to run through my mind. I discovered that by doing this consistently, my brain became more agile. I noticed that the gaps in my thoughts and the long pauses in my speech began to disappear. The words seemed readily available on my tongue, and I spoke more naturally. This daily practice became as automatic as breathing, and I learned that consistency, like regular exercise, made my mind stronger and more resilient. I also recall another simple yet effective exercise. I would listen to a short podcast and spend 1 minute listing all the English words I already knew related to the topic. I would write them down without consciously thinking of my native language, simply affirming, I know these words in English. Then, I would listen to the podcast with focused attention. Afterward, I would create a simple visual map of the main ideas, writing them down in short, clear English sentences and connecting related words and concepts. I would then discuss what I had heard with my study partner, using simple English. I found that this exercise truly engaged my brain, and my listening and speaking skills improved with each session. I learned that active thinking was far more effective than passive listening. I allowed the words to sink in and then actively used them to construct my own narrative. Sometimes, I would use videos as a learning tool. I remember watching a video about fast fashion. Initially, I would turn off the sound and simply observe the images, writing down in English what I saw. I see a dress, I see a factory, I see workers. Then, I would watch the video with the sound on, listening carefully to the English words being spoken. I would check the words I had missed and repeat the exercise. I learned that with each repetition, retrieving the English words became more natural, and my brain began to associate the images directly with the English vocabulary. I felt my mental connections strengthening day by day. I also made it a point to converse with native English speakers. I joined conversation clubs and spoke with friends in English. We would set a timer for a few minutes, and I would describe my surroundings. I am on a walk. I see a busy street. I hear cars and people talking. I would also talk about my day with friends, asking, "What did you do today?" I would listen attentively to their responses and then share my own experiences. I learned that real-time conversation forced me to think quickly, and the more I practiced speaking, the more fluent I became. I noticed that my pauses became shorter, and my mind felt more agile. I realized that the challenge of speaking in real time was a reward in itself, and my heart would swell with pride each time I spoke without hesitation. This word means to learn through repetition, I noted, realizing the power of repeated exposure. I observed that my understanding deepened with each movie I watched. I would repeat phrases, mimicking the actor's intonation and rhythm, allowing their words to become a part of my own linguistic repertoire. I felt that film offered a window into a new world, and every scene presented an opportunity for language acquisition. I knew that the more I watched and listened, the more natural my speaking would become. I recognized the art of cinema as a valuable language teacher. I made a conscious effort to utilize every available tool. I switched my phone's operating language to English, changed the language settings on my computer, and set my digital calendar to English. I marked my appointments using simple English words. I noticed that every notification, every alert, every message became a mini lesson in English. I started reading the news in English and followed English language blogs and social media accounts. I understood that my world would become richer and more immersive when filled with English words. I felt that everyday life was brimming with opportunities for practice. I live in English, I breathe English, I would affirm, seeing my world transform with each small change I implemented. At the end of each day, I took time to reflect on my progress. I would sit with my diary and write, "Today I thought in English, today I spoke in English, today I learned a little more." I used simple sentences, focusing on clarity rather than complexity. I viewed each sentence as a building block in my journey. My diary became a tangible map of my progress. Looking back, I could see the steps I had taken, the simple words that had bolstered my confidence, and the gradual evolution of my thoughts. I recognized that every day was a small victory, and I felt proud of each moment of progress, grateful for the journey that was reshaping my brain. I understood that thinking in English was a continuous process with many different paths to explore. I made it a habit to try various exercises. I would take time to sit quietly and simply describe my surroundings in English. I see a blue sky, I hear a gentle wind rustling the leaves, I feel the soft grass under my feet. I allowed these words to fill my mind, practicing for 5 minutes whenever I had a spare moment. I learned that this simple exercise made a significant difference over time. By practicing daily, my mind became increasingly accustomed to the language. I saw that repetition was indeed a key element in language learning, and I felt that every moment was an opportunity to build mental strength, just as physical exercise builds muscle. Set a personal challenge to write in my diary entirely in English every day. I recorded my thoughts, writing simple sentences like, "Today I learned new words," today I spoke with a friend, and today I practiced by watching a video. I kept my sentences short and clear, avoiding complex structures and not worrying about perfect grammar. My primary focus was to think in English. I watched as my diary filled up with simple, honest reflections. Reading it later, I would smile, seeing the progress in each short sentence, feeling the quiet pride of a mind learning to be free. I remember that some days were more challenging than others. I would feel tired, or my brain wouldn't seem as quick as I hoped. I would pause mid-sentence, but then I would remind myself that every pause was an opportunity to learn. I will not fear silence, I will not fear mistakes, I would say to myself. Every moment is a lesson. I would take a deep breath and continue, speaking slowly, writing slowly, allowing the English words to come to me naturally. I learned that the journey was long, but every step was valuable. Each simple sentence, each clear thought, was like a brick in the foundation of my fluency. My journey to thinking in English is like a long walk. I take it step by step, paying attention to each one. I see that the path ahead is long, but every step I take builds my strength. I will not stop, I will keep going, I would tell myself. I try to enjoy every moment of the walk, observing the world around me. I see the sun rise and set, feel the cool breeze, and listen to the quiet sounds of the night. I see that my world is full of simple beauty, and I use these moments to speak in English, affirming, I see the world in English, I feel the world in English. I know that every observation is a chance to build my fluency, and I feel my mind becoming like a sponge, readily soaking up the language. I also incorporate my leisure time into my practice. I listen to songs in English, learning the lyrics and singing softly in my room. I don't worry if I don't understand every word initially. I look up unfamiliar words in my English dictionary, asking myself, what does this word mean? And learning the meaning in English. I repeat the words, allowing the song to become a part of my mental landscape. I find that music is a powerful teacher, helping me feel the rhythm of the language. Every note seems like a word waiting to be spoken, and I feel my voice growing stronger with each song. My journey is filled with melody and words. I also watch movies in English, choosing those with simpler dialogues. I listen carefully to how the actors speak, pausing when a new word comes up. I write it down and I also made a point to engage in conversations with friends, joining small conversation groups where we spoke in simple English. Hello, how are you? I would say, listening attentively to their stories and responding with clear, concise sentences. I had a good day. I worked and I learned new things. I practiced speaking in English. I observed that conversation was the most effective exercise, and the more I talked, the easier it became. My pauses shortened, my ideas came more quickly, and I realized that conversation was a dynamic and living practice that built fluency with every exchanged word. I felt my confidence grow with each interaction. I vividly recalled a time when my mind felt sluggish. I was afraid of making mistakes and hesitated to speak, feeling trapped in a cycle of translation. I would first formulate my thoughts in my native language and then laboriously try to convert them into English. This process was cumbersome, making me feel slow and unsure. I remember one particular day clearly. I was in a room full of people, feeling their gazes upon me. I tried to speak, but a long silence stretched awkwardly. The memory of that day, the struggle to find the simplest words, the wave of embarrassment and the feeling of weakness, became a powerful catalyst for change. From that moment forward, I internalized crucial lessons. Every pause held an opportunity for learning, every mistake was a stepping stone to improvement, and fear was merely a transient part of the journey. I made a conscious choice to release my fear, to embrace speaking, and to actively cultivate thinking in English. Bravery became my mantra. I began setting small, achievable challenges for myself. One day, I resolved to describe my entire day in English, no matter how basic the language. I wrote, I woke up. I brushed my teeth. I ate breakfast. I took the bus. I worked with my team. I had a lunch break. I spoke with my friend. I returned home. I had dinner with my family. I wrote in my diary. I took a walk. I listened to music. I watched a movie. I went to sleep. I didn't concern myself with elaborate details, focusing instead on short, clear words. This exercise felt like creating a roadmap of my progress, highlighting that each day offered a chance to build my fluency. I learned that by narrating my day in English, my mind began to forge direct connections between actions and English words, making my thoughts flow more smoothly and naturally. Every challenge overcome felt like a victory against the old habit of translation. I also made a deliberate effort to expand my vocabulary. When encountering a new word, I resisted the immediate urge to translate it into my native language. Instead, I would mentally note, this word is new. I will learn it in English. I would look up its definition in an English dictionary, observe how it was used in a sentence, and then write that sentence in my diary. Following this, I would construct my own sentence using the new word. For instance, if the word was impressive, I might write, I learned a new word today. It is impressive, or my progress in English is impressive. I came to see each new word as a valuable tool in my linguistic toolbox, allowing me to build more nuanced sentences. I understood that even seemingly simple words held significance, and my vocabulary expanded with each conscious effort. I realized that clarity in my words led to clarity in my thoughts. I often liken learning to think in English to building a bridge. Each word was a plank, and I had to place each one carefully, patiently constructing a sturdy path. Daily practice became my construction work. I paid close attention to how native speakers pronounced words, repeating them until they felt natural on my tongue. I even recorded my own voice and compared it to native speakers, using each repetition as a step toward mastery. I envisioned my bridge growing stronger with every practice session, confident that one day I would cross it with ease and natural fluency. Sometimes, I would set a timer for short speaking sessions, declaring, for the next 5 minutes, I will speak only in English. I would look around me and describe my immediate surroundings. I see a chair, I see a table, I see a window, I see a clock. I would continue, describing the feel of the air, the quiet hum of the city outside, the soft light of the evening. I allowed my voice to fill the space, letting the words flow without interruption. These short bursts of focused speaking built my confidence and mental agility. I learned that even small amounts of consistent daily practice yielded significant results over time. I discovered that every tool I utilized for practice added a new dimension to my learning. I used my phone to set reminders in English, my computer to read English articles, and the internet to watch educational videos in English. I joined online groups where fellow learners shared their progress and experiences. Every notification, every message, every piece of content I engaged with became a part of my English-speaking world. I felt my life increasingly saturated with the language, and the more I immersed myself, the faster my learning progressed. I live in English, I breathe English, I think in English, became my daily affirmation. I also joined online conversation clubs, connecting with others who shared the same aspiration. We would speak in English for short, focused sessions, discussing our days, our challenges, and our successes. I listened to their stories and shared my own, often saying, "I am learning to think in English." It is not always easy, but I am proud of my progress. I received words of encouragement and felt a sense of camaraderie within our group of learners. It was a safe space where mistakes were accepted, and every effort was valued. I learned that speaking with others was the most effective way to overcome fear. Furthermore, I came to understand that thinking in English wasn't about achieving immediate perfection. It was about expressing myself authentically. I didn't need to have every word flawlessly chosen. I knew that every sentence I formed was a step forward. I recognized that my journey would have its ups and downs, moments of doubt, and times when my mind felt slow. But I consistently reminded myself to keep trying, keep speaking, and keep thinking in English. I saw that my progress was measured by my persistence, and every day made me stronger, every mistake teaching me something new. Each error was not a failure but a valuable lesson. I also incorporated creative exercises into my routine. I would take a favorite English song and try to transcribe its lyrics, listening carefully and pausing as needed. Writing down the words in English helped me learn new expressions and rhythms. I would sing along softly, allowing the melody to carry the words, not worrying if I didn't understand everything at first. I would look up unfamiliar words in my English dictionary, learning their meanings in English. The song would gradually become a part of my linguistic landscape. I found that music was a gentle and enjoyable teacher, helping my mind connect with English in a playful way. Every new word learned from a song felt like a small treasure. Sometimes, I would choose a simple English book with short sentences and clear vocabulary. I would read one page at a time, pausing to reflect on the meaning of each sentence. I would jot down any new words and then form simple sentences using them. I read a book, I learn a word, I build a sentence, became my mantra. I felt that reading slowly and deliberately built my comprehension, and each page added another brick to my language building. My mind grew stronger and more confident with every word I read. The book became both a friend and a teacher, and I cherished every lesson gleaned from its pages. I also enjoyed watching short, focused English videos, often choosing those that explained a single concept clearly. I would watch the first minute without sound to absorb the visuals and then watch again with the sound to listen to the words. I would take notes, writing down the main ideas in simple English. The video shows a factory, it shows workers, it shows a process. I allowed the images and the words to merge in my mind, learning that visual cues aided memory. Every video became an opportunity to connect words with images, and I noticed my mind starting to link these ideas naturally, building stronger language pathways. I also challenged myself with a specific organizational task. I would take my daily planner and write all my activities in English, marking the times and using simple sentences. At 7 a.m., I wake up. At 7:30 a.m., I eat breakfast. At 8 a.m. I leave home. Using numbers and simple words to create a schedule helped me see my day filled with clear tasks, and my brain began to learn the structure of time in English. Every appointment and every reminder became a small sentence in my diary, reinforcing the language. I reminded myself that consistent writing, no matter how simple, builds fluency. Every day, I wrote in English, I thought in English, I lived in English. At the end of each week, I would take time to review my progress. Sitting down with my diary, I would reread all the simple sentences I had written. I could see how far I had come, the new words I had learned, and the new habits I had formed. A deep sense of satisfaction would wash over me. I know that each day of dedicated practice accumulates into something truly significant. I have done well today, and I will continue to build on this tomorrow, I affirm. I set new, achievable goals and plan engaging exercises, understanding that my language learning journey is ongoing and brimming with potential. This journey is deeply personal and unique to me, and I recognize that every learner treads a different path. Some days will flow with ease, while others will present challenges, and I accept each day as a valuable lesson. I refrain from comparing myself to others, choosing instead to measure my progress against my past self. I was slower before, but I am faster now. I am growing stronger every day, I acknowledge, feeling proud of each step I take. I trust that my brain is learning to think in English at its own pace, celebrating the small victories along the way, believing that every moment of practice contributes to my overall growth. I have explored numerous ways to train my brain, incorporating speaking, listening, writing, and reading exercises into my routine. I seize every opportunity to practice, understanding that consistency is the mental equivalent of physical exercise. If I neglect practice, my skills will inevitably weaken. Therefore, I dedicate small pockets of time throughout the day to English, utilizing every idle moment for reinforcement. I remind myself that my mind is a muscle that requires regular training. I lift the weight of each new word, run the course of every sentence, and build strength with each conversation. Every moment spent immersed in English contributes to my increasing fluency. I embrace the continuous nature of this journey, knowing that there will always be new things to learn, as language itself is vast and constantly evolving. My progress is a continuous upward curve. Each new word, each new phrase, each new idea encountered in English is like a door opening to a new world of understanding. My mind is gradually transforming into a vast library filled with simple yet powerful words. Today I learn, today I speak, today I think in English, I declare, building my world one small sentence at a time, trusting that my future will be bright and filled with clear communication. I also allow myself the freedom of creativity. Sometimes, I write short, simple stories in English. Once there was a girl. She loved the sun. She danced in the rain. She sang with the birds. I let the words weave a narrative that is both simple and pure, recognizing that creativity is an integral part of learning. Each story I write feels like a piece of my heart shared in English, building bridges between my thoughts and the language. Writing allows me to feel free, and ideas flow more naturally when I don't fixate on perfection. Each story becomes a treasure that enriches my vocabulary and boosts my confidence. I remember one peaceful afternoon sitting in a quiet park. I observed the trees reaching towards the sky, listened to the gentle rustling of leaves, and felt the warm caress of the sun. I took out my small notebook and began to write in English. I see tall trees. I hear soft whispers. I feel calm. I think in English. I meticulously described every detail using short, clear words. The blue of the sky, the green of the grass, the flight of the birds. I allowed my mind to work freely, realizing that every observation was a learning opportunity. My connection with the world seemed to deepen as I used English to articulate it. I recognized nature as a perfect teacher of simple beauty, offering silent thanks to the trees and the birds, all within the realm of my English thoughts. I also dedicate specific hours to focused study. I select topics that genuinely interest me and read English articles about them. As I read, I underline new words, attempting to infer their meaning from the surrounding context before looking up their precise definitions in an English dictionary. I then write these definitions in simple terms and create my own sentence using each new word. For example, if the word was impressive, I might write, "The word is impressive. It means something that makes me feel proud. My progress in English is impressive." I allow these new words to form new connections within my mind, repeating the exercise with subsequent articles. Each new topic becomes an opportunity for growth. Deep study helps me build both my vocabulary and my confidence, and each article I read enriches my understanding. Technology also plays a supportive role in my learning. I utilize language applications designed to build vocabulary through simple, interactive exercises. I listen to the app's audio pronunciations and repeat the words, consciously saying, "I learn this word, I say this word." I use the app daily, appreciating the small challenges it presents. The short tests feel like mini celebrations of my progress as my scores gradually improve. I view every tool as a valuable part of my journey, trusting that each one contributes to my growing strength in English. I constantly remind myself that the ultimate goal is not perfection but clear understanding. Simple words and straightforward thoughts are sufficient. I speak my truth in English, I affirm, not worrying about elaborate vocabulary or lengthy sentences. Simplicity holds its own power, and the most impactful stories are often told in simple words. My journey is not about flawless execution but about consistent progress. Every word I speak is a step closer to my dream, and the simplicity of my language feels like a gift, allowing my mind to be clear and my heart to be open. I trust that with each passing day, I become a more confident and natural English speaker, and my brain learns to think in English with increasing ease. I trust the process. I often take time to reflect on my progress. I revisit memories of days when I hesitated, when long pauses punctuated my speech. Comparing my past struggles with my present abilities fills me with gratitude for every moment of challenge, recognizing each one as a valuable teacher. My mind has learned to bypass the circuitous route of translation, now forming thoughts directly in English. My internal world feels filled with clear, bright ideas. Each day is a new chapter in my unfolding story, and this lifelong journey of thinking in English is a precious gift. I am proud of the progress I have made and know that I will continue to grow. I also share my journey with my friends, recounting the small steps I take each day. I wake up and consciously choose to think in English. I listen to songs, read articles, and write my thoughts in my diary. I explain. I see that my story inspires them, and many express a desire to learn as well. I invite them to join me in simple exercises. We set small challenges together, speaking in English for 5 minutes, describing what we see and feel, and asking each other, "What did you learn today?" We share our new words and our simple sentences, and I feel our group growing stronger. Community and mutual support are invaluable, and every friend who practices with me is a treasure on this linguistic adventure. Finally, I observe my progress reflected in my own eyes. Looking in the mirror, I see determination. Each day brings a little more spark to my smile, and my confidence grows with every English conversation. I tell myself, I am learning, I am growing, I am thinking in English. And so, my journey of learning to think in English continues. Each day a new opportunity for growth and discovery. With consistent effort, embracing challenges, and celebrating small victories, the path to fluency becomes clearer and more natural. If you've enjoyed following this journey, please like and subscribe for more stories and insights on language learning and personal growth.